Hey folks, so it's the 21st of April, 9 p.m. in London, and I'm doing another kind of later night review. I would love to do them earlier, but most of us have to work. Today was really exciting because England has obviously been in lockdown for several months now. I would say the last time the kind of shops were open was about last November in 2020. So last week, the kind of shops opened up again, and I decided to go to my first shop today in months, and that shop was Forbidden Planet here in London, which I believe is one of the biggest comic book stores, and certainly within the UK and possibly in Europe. I'm not quite sure. And I went along there because Alien 2 came out today. Usually, I'm a bit late in getting comics and kind of reading them. But today I was able to get it on the release day, which was pretty exciting. I already reviewed Alien 1 by Marvel, and that was about, it was about a week ago or thereabouts, possibly 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago. Highly enjoyed the first issue and wanted to follow up with the second. So I'm not sure if there's many reviews of Alien 2 out there at the moment. So hopefully I've been able to get onto this early. I've only read it once, so I literally just finished reading it about 5 minutes ago, and I'm going to give you my kind of first thoughts about it. In the first issue, I did comment about some of the artwork. So some kind of people weren't happy with the artwork and weren't too keen on Salvador Larroca. Personally, I didn't mind it too much, and I'm much more interested in the storyline as long as the kind of artwork's okay. This particular issue, kind of on the front cover, I'm not sure who it is, but I think it is Gabe, who's the kind of like main character from the first issue. Although I'm not too sure, I think it is. Anyway, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the storyline. There's going to be spoilers, but the story kind of not too much happened in it, but maybe about three kind of key points to cover. So I'll talk over them. If you've not read it yet, maybe you kind of want to not watch this video actually. But if you have read it and you just kind of want to hear my thoughts on it, then continue to watch this. Also, before we start, I have like nearly zero subscribers. I think I've got 4 at the moment, so really appreciate it if you can subscribe. And I love to read comments. I'm quite active in comments, and I quite like replying to anything you say. So feel free to leave your kind of thoughts below. So just for context, where we left off in issue 1 was that we are kind of introduced to a character called Gabriel Cruz, who goes by the name Gabe, and he was retiring from the Epsilon space station, which orbits Earth. He ended up kind of returning to Earth, and we are introduced to his son Danny, and Danny goes to to his father's house and basically steals data, which gives him access to the space station. Basically, it turns out his son is, anti-Whaling Corporation, and basically what ends up happening is that he kind of breaches the space station, takes it over with a group of people, and the problem is they make an absolutely huge mistake. When they break into the space station, they kind of release fire after they've come across a lab which has like various different eggs and embryos. At that point, we kind of assume that there's something to do with aliens and like xenomorphs. What happens is they kind of release all of these lab samples, and obviously that creates like a huge mess. So we end up in the final scene where a face hugger is kind of like coming towards somebody's face, and yeah, issue 1 kind of ends there. So we reopen back on the Epsilon station, and we've got a father and possibly daughter kind of hiding on that station because they've seen what's happening, and they're trying to keep safe. We've got the older man like protecting this child from his what's about to happen, which is which I guess is that one of the aliens, or maybe possibly a face hugger or whatever, kind of breaches the room that they're hiding in and ends up killing the man. And at this point, we don't know whether the child is safe, but we can kind of infer that since the girl's obviously terrified. So then we kind of return to Earth and we are back in Gabriel Cruz's room. He receives a phone call from a guy called Ted who visits him during the night. And what he does is explain that the Epsilon station has been breached. All samples have basically been lost and nobody's made it out. But what he does is blame Gabe for this. They've been able to figure out that it was actually his son that breached the space station, and they say that, you know, they've got evidence that the way Gabe actually broke into the station was using, I guess, like his father's security card. So this guy Ted then basically threatens the father, says that he has to go back to the space station to retrieve one sample that's left over. And if he doesn't do it, then they're going to be put away to jail for corporate terrorism unless Gabe manages to retrieve this last sample. So if we flick forward, honestly, I think that's like terrible. And not only that, I kind of think it's crazy that the idea that they've got all these samples released possibly in this station and they want to send this guy up to kind of retrieve one sample when they should probably just burn the station. Like, they shouldn't, at that point, I don't think, be even interested in the samples, especially if they know how kind of dangerous they are. Personally, I would just blow the station up. But anyway, that's the corporation for you. They're more interested in kind of retrieving the samples than actually basically keeping the world safe, I would say. So Gabriel, it kind of flashes forward to Gabe going on this mission back to the space station. And he's kind of faced with a team of guys that are pretty much oblivious to like what's happening on the station. Obviously, in the first issue of Alien, we learned that Gabe is has a good reputation amongst people on the station. I guess he's been on missions before and is very familiar with xenomorphs and you know, how dangerous they are. But the initial conversation with the team he's been sent up with is that they're kind of, they come across as, you know, laughing idiots and not really taking the situation serious. But Gabe knows fine well that they're walking into, you know, a very dangerous situation. So as soon as they enter, you know, the rest of the team are pretty surprised by the destruction that's been caused on the space station. And they're like, wow, how big are these things, you know? And, you know, Gabe is kind of giving them instructions on like how to identify, you know, where facehuggers might be. Personally, the facehugger aspect of it is something that gave me nightmares as a child watching the movies, so much so that even any other animal such as like crab really puts me off even eating it, and I would put it back to those movies for kind of like giving me that fear. So anyway, they find the lab, they see that it's completely destroyed and there's nothing left. And like the problem, we can see what looks like kind of dead, possible xenomorphs. I'm not sure what those are. But the big problem that they've got in terms of the mission is that Gabe realizes there's no sample left, or the last one is gone. But, you know, in my opinion, that's the last of their troubles. They probably should be more fearful of their actual life. And then at this point, they discover somebody hiding, which I think might be the girl from the beginning of this particular issue. I'm not sure, I can't tell from her face, but she's saying, "I'm not infected, please don't kill me." And then at that point, we get the return of the facehugger, and it makes contact with the one of the soldiers. And certainly from the movies, even if they've taken the facehugger off the face, pretty much guaranteed, like, he's infected now. But anyway, they got it off the guy's face, and they appear to have been able to kind of blow it up and like kill it. But it gets even worse. We see the kind of like silhouette of a xenomorph just in the distance, which is like quite a nice way of doing it. As usual, they kind of like just sneak up on you out of the blue. And is this the last page? And I thought the last page was like really, really cool. We kind of see the xenomorph in full view, basically attacking one of the soldiers. So it'll be exciting to see where that goes. It's kind of crazy. Like, I mean, this xenomorph, like, where did that actually come from? Were they keeping one in the space station? Like, I don't think so. But is it possible that like one of the samples grew into this? I'm not really familiar with Alien enough to kind of know, you know, how fast they grow and that kind of thing. I kind of forgot it from the movies, but anyway, this xenomorph like appeared anyway, and yeah, the whole crew are in deep shit. So yeah, that's the end of the issue. Highly enjoyable. Very reminiscent of like the movies. I could definitely see these particular stories like turned into like something on TV. Knowing Marvel, like, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what their kind of plans are. So yeah, definitely kept my interest again, which I was surprised with. I honestly picked Alien 1 up on a kind of whim and didn't really expect to be that into it, but I read the first one, thought it was kind of good. Read this one, I thought it was good as well. So I think I'm going to buy, the third issue and see how it goes. There's also some cool variants. People have been going kind of crazy for this one. I ended up just picking both of them because I like this cover. It's like really bold, and really love this kind of silhouette of the image of a xenomorph on the front, which is quite nice. But as usual, like, I mean, you can spend tons of money on various different variants, but from now on, I'm just going to probably stick with the cover Ace. So that's it for now. If you've not picked it up, definitely go and pick it up. I've not really kind of gone into the absolute details of like what happens in this, so there's still more to kind of absorb from it, but give it a read. And yeah, if you have read it, I hope you enjoy my kind of thoughts on it. I thought it was kind of exciting, and yeah, I think we'll kind of finish it there. So thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and definitely leave comments with your own thoughts on this. I would love to hear them. Cool, and see you next time.